All rise. Hear ye, hear ye. Hammond County Commission meeting is now in session. The Honorable Howard Shipley presiding.
This
Please
time,
remain standing.
sorry, Harley. At this time, we'd like to call the October 21st, 2021 meeting of the Hamilton County Legislative Body to order, and I'm going to ask Commissioner Huntsman if he would lead us in our prayer at this time, please.
President Ronald Reagan said, "There are no easy answers, but there are simple answers." We must have the courage to do what is we know is morally right. Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're just thankful that we are here together, that you're with us, and you hear what we have to say, and that you're in charge, Father. We ask that you guide our county commissioners, people, to be wise in our decision making. Help us to guide our state and our federal government people. Be with us. We need your support. We need your help wherever in this world. Bless us. Bless those who are sick and need help. Be with them. Guide us in every way we can. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Joe. This time, I'm going to ask Commissioner Goin to lead us in pledge to the American flag.
Attention, salute, pledge. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Want to remind commissioners to please turn your mics on, and when you address your fellow commissioners, please speak through the mic. Also, I'd like to remind members of the audience that cameras are restricted to a designated area in the rear of the building, and we would appreciate it if you would comply with that rule. I'll give you a moment to do that.
Chairman Shipley, I move that we seek declaration of judgment asking that the Hamilton County Sheriff's Department or the Hamilton County Constable be authorized to move anyone from this commission meeting who refuses to obey the rules of the body.
We have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second.
We have a motion. It's a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing no discussion, then we need to do this, I guess, off the board. So please call the roll. If you vote yes, you're voting for the authorization. And if you vote no, then you're voting against it. And I'm going to ask Commissioner Goin to please give a copy of that declaration to the clerk.
Chairman Shipley,
Yes.
clarification that we are voting that we just followed the local rules that we have already in place. Is that correct?
That's right.
Thank you,
Correct.
sir.
Yes.
And Tim Goins.
Go ahead.
Jeff Aker,
No.
Chris Cutshaw,
Aye.
Randy DeBoard,
Aye.
Thomas Doty,
No.
Tim Goins,
Aye.
Bobby Hahn,
Aye.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Joe Huntsman,
No.
Eileen Arnwine,
Yes.
Mike Reed,
Yes.
Wayne Neesmith,
No.
Howard Shipley,
Yes.
Jim Stepp,
Yes.
Taylor Ward. There's 10 yeas, 4 nays.
Okay, the motion passes. Need you to also indicate at this time whether you're present or absent.
14 present.
Okay, thank you very much. We have no recognitions. Under nominations and appointments, we have 2 nominees that the mayor is nominating to serve on the Solid Waste Board. Their terms will expire on October the 31st, 2023, and Mike Bell's, that's Tom Rush's, Mike Bell's will expire on October the 31st, 2024. And the chair would entertain a motion at this time that, Mr. Lee Smith, you want to speak now?
Yes. In committee the other day, we went to the consent calendar and voted to put the nomination at item number 5 and pull the committee or the public views would be number 2.
Okay,
So-
Mr. Neesmith, let's wait until we get to that item, and then you can address it, please.
That's it. You're on
Okay.
the solid waste. That's why we
Okay.
voted for that to start with.
Okay. That was a committee action that had to be approved by all the members of the commission. And in order to get it approved by the members of the commission, it was assigned to the calendar and rules because it dealt with the rules. So,
So what?
unfortunately, in this particular situation, it comes after those appointments. And we'll have to decide.
That
what the
makes no
commission-
sense whatsoever, Howard.
Sir,
That makes no sense whatsoever to do it that way.
you don't
That-
want to abide by, all the committees, their recommendations go to the full commission for approval or disapproval.
What did we vote on it the other night in committee for then? What did we vote for the consent calendar to change and pass in
The
committee?
committee makes a recommendation to the full commission.
So shouldn't that be changed back then before your
change-
nomination?
I cannot change the calendar myself. The commission has to change the calendar, and that's what's on the agenda under item 3A. Okay? All right, let's move on to the nomination and appointments. The mayor is asking that we confirm his appointments of Tom Rush and Mike Bell to the Solid Waste Committee. The chair would entertain a motion.
Motion. Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Thomas Doty moves.
Second.
Okay, who seconded? All right, this is on board, isn't it? Yeah. No, it's off board. Okay. Did you get the people who made the motions? Okay. All of those in favor of confirming the mayor's nominees, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, let it be known by saying no. The appointments are confirmed. Okay, Chairman Jim Stepp of the Calendar and Rules Committee, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 3A, calendar changes. I'll put that in form of a motion.
All right, we have a motion. This is
I'll make a motion.
on the board, so let's, yeah, James Stepp, the chairman, made the motion. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion?
Is this change going to be for the consent calendar, the stuff we just got through voting
Not the
on?
consent calendar, it's a change that affects the regular calendar from here on out,
Okay.
okay? Any other questions or comments?
Clarify what a yes vote and a no vote would be. Is that-
If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the calendar change. If you vote no, you're voting against the motion to change the calendar. Any other questions? Let's vote the motion, please. Commissioner Neesmith and Commissioner Akert.
I'd like for you to tell me what the yes and no is again. If you vote yes, you're voting to change the calendar?
That's right. And if you vote no, you leave the calendar as it is.
Okay.
Okay, now leave the votes, please. Huh?
7 yea, 7 nay.
How many?
7 yea, 7 nay.
Okay, the motion fails because there's a lack of a majority. Okay? Commissioner Stepp.
Item 3B, approval of consent calendar items. I put that in form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote the motion, please.
Item 3B, 12 yea, 2 nay.
All right, the motion is approved.
Item 3C, approval of regular calendar items. I put that in form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote the motion, please.
Item 3C, 12 yea, 2 nay.
The motion is approved.
That's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you, Chairman Stepp. The chair at this time would entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
So moved.
Hit the button over there. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote the motion.
Item 4A, 13 yea, 1 nay.
Okay, the motion is approved. At this time, we will entertain public comments regarding items on the agenda only. We've had 2 requests to speak for 5 minutes, and I'm going to recognize those as they were received. Mr. Todd Frommeyer has requested 5 minutes to speak on the 2 resolutions. Please come to the podium, state your name and address, and share your comments.
I'm Todd Fromeyer, 1212 Hodge Drive in Morristown. I'm going to talk on the 2 resolutions, 2120 and 2119. And I have 3 points on 2120, which is to adopt reapportionment redistricting plan for Hamlin County. First, it seems like there wasn't a lot of effort put into getting the word out about the redistricting committee meeting. Admittedly, I'm new to Morristown, been here since May. But by the same token, I'm pretty dialed into the local political scene, and I had to have someone call me that day of the meeting in order to find out about it. As it happened, I was the only member of the public in attendance at the meeting, and I think a meeting that affects voter districts for the next 10 years, you can and should do better. Second point, the meeting lasted less than 30 minutes. It felt like there was behind-the-scenes coordination on selection of the chair and vice chair of the committee. There was only 1 redistricting plan presented, and it took about 15 to 20 minutes to go through the slides, and then it was done. It feels like more of this process should have been handled in front of the public rather than behind the scenes. Now, I moved here from Knox County, and so I still pay attention to the local politics and government stuff there. And I've noticed that they've had several public meetings, floated several redistricting plans, several proposed maps, and have had substantive discussion, whereas here there was 1 meeting, it was 30 minutes long, and then it was 1 map. So Knox County is larger obviously than Hamlin County, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't take it as seriously as the other counties in Tennessee. And then the third point, the stated goal of the 1 map that was presented was to minimize the number of voters that had to switch districts in order to balance the 14 districts out. And sure, that's a good goal, but Hamlin County's population is about 65,000 according to the 2020 census. And so when I look up demographic data for the county, I find the numbers that show the non-white minority population here anywhere from about 15 to 25%. Which is about 10 to 16,000 residents of Hamlin County. And instead of 15 to 25% of the elected officials in Hamlin County and Morristown being non-white minority, it's 0%. Now, maybe the answer with regard to redistricting is that you just don't have to take that into account. Or maybe the answer is that keeping the number of voters moved down is more important than discussing that issue. But there was no public consideration of the question. Instead, we got a 30-minute cursory meeting with a plan that seemed to be rubber-stamped by the committee and now is here, seemingly to be rubber-stamped by the commission. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope there'll be substantive discussion on the resolution. On the second resolution, I wanted to just make a comment that it looks to be a politically motivated resolution. It's to urge Tennessee's elected leaders to oppose the federally proposed vaccine mandate. But I dare say that of the elected members here on the commission, you each have the phone numbers of many Tennessee's elected leaders, and so if you wanted to urge them, you could just probably pick up the phone and call. But instead, you've taken the people's time to come up with this toothless resolution, which really won't do anything other than just amount to political grandstanding. A quick Google search showed me that Hamblin County isn't the first county that's proposing this resolution. I don't know if it originated with the wrestler mayor in Knox County with whom I'm familiar, or with some statewide or nationwide organization that's using county commissions for their own agenda. But I think it's important to point out that this isn't something organic to Hamblin County, but instead it's something that where you're just following along with someone else's agenda. Now, I'd like to see the commissioners act as the leaders of Hamblin County that you were elected to be, and rather than playing some part in a bigger political agenda, I'd like to see this resolution voted down. You've already wasted the people's time, both in committee and here at this meeting, by coming to this point. I'd like to also see some explanation for how this resolution has any bearing on the actual business of Hamblin County or makes a difference to ordinary residents of Hamblin County. And I mean, if your opinions are so strong about vaccines that you feel the need to use county commission time for a resolution like this, then I think we'd all love to hear your own personal vaccination status and why you think, if you are vaccinated, that it's consistent with also voting for the resolution, which is what I expect actually the vote to be. Finally, I follow this pandemic-related issues pretty closely. One criticism I've heard more than once from people who are anti-mask is that they don't want to be sheep. We that use masks and believe in mask mandates and other mandates, we're the sheep and they're not. But in the same vein, I ask you, if you're taking Hamblin County down this path of adopting a resolution just like this because a bunch of other Republican-controlled county commissions have done so, doesn't that make you, and then by extension us, the people of Hamblin County, sheep as well? Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Todd. At this time, we'd like to recognize Linda Noe, who has requested 5 minutes to address the solid waste appointments and the jail bids. You're recognized at this time, please.
Linda Noe, Joe Stevens Road. I love the way you follow your rules. Of course, when you had a 10-day rule and other things like that, you didn't mind trying to break those, but it's very interesting, and I apologize for laughing, but when Mr. Neesmith said what he did, which was absolutely correct, it makes no sense. But boy, you showed that you would vote to switch something, and it didn't mean anything. I'd put down, I want to talk about solid waste board appointments. They're already made. Now, you can either do this going forward and straighten this out. Whoever, this always says it's prepared under the direction of Howard Shipley. So how about you take the initiative and put public comments before any agenda item so the public truly can talk about agenda items, all of them, not just the ones that you want to put down below public comments. And I noticed on the, you mentioned those were the mayor's appointments. That's the way you put it. No. The mayor makes one appointment to the Solid Waste Board, and that's Mr. Horner currently. Gee, we're trying to follow these rules, and yet we voted to make 2 appointments based on the mayor's recommendation. No, those were county commission appointments, both of them. And you might say, well, why are we making 2 appointments? You're only supposed to make one every year, one commission appointment every year. There'll be 1 year when 2 appointments are made, when the mayor's appointment and a regular county commissioner appointment comes up. So why did we make 2? because the mayor forgot to bring one of those people last year in 2020. So that's why, and that's probably why he didn't give you that letter saying there were 2 appointments until you got your commission packets. You didn't know that in your committee. Maybe he told you, I don't know. But that's why. Now to the jail. For Pete's sake, why are you even looking at a $92 million construction when you can do this for 60, 65, probably maximum 70 if you did the Coffee County model? I'm not saying exactly like Coffee County, but that design. It's what the sheriff has recommended. It's what just about anybody who's been down there and looked at it, they see the value of it. The high control tower, looking at all the upper level and able to see the lower level at the same time. The fact that they're segmented into quarters, so you really only have 50 inmates in an area, 4 50 inmate segments to a 200-man pod. The safety is so much superior to what you're looking at. The staffing is far less, or will be far less, and the costs will be far less. That sounds like a win-win-win for the taxpayers of your district, not just anonymous people, for the taxpayers of Mr. Shipley's district, save $30 million. For the taxpayers of Mr. Stepp's district, he could help save $30 million. For Mr. Cutshaw's district, $30 million. For Mr. Huntsman's district, Mr. Horner's district, every district up here, and Mr. Reed too, and of course he went down to Coffee County, he saw it. And you have never come forth with figures and facts about a one-level jail. $92 million. You've already spent $4.5 million. You've got to buy furniture, fixtures, and equipment, about $3.3 million. And you better have a contingency. Or you could save $30 million, maybe more. But you could save the taxpayers of this county $30 million.
Thank you for your comments, Ms.
You're
Nolan.
very welcome.
Now, anyone else who wishes to address the commission, you'll have 3 minutes. Please come to the podium. Sir, there's a lady behind you she stood before you did.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Brotherton, 339 Macedonia Road. I'm from District 6. I would like to address a couple of things. First of all, when Mr. Neesmith had addressed the issue of the consent calendar changes, that was an absolute, not on him, but on telling him he can't do that, you butchered parliamentary procedure. You can do a motion to suspend the rules and do it that way, just like you did with the 10-day rule, but you didn't. And he was told that he could not do that incorrectly. If you'd like to check me on that, Robert's Rules of Order is an excellent resource. They even have it online for free. Another thing I would like to address is the cost of the jail. We've all seen the bids. It's going to be well over $100 million. And I would like to read something that a commissioner posted regarding calling us liars, saying that it would be over $75 million. Now, this is a political statement. It is not personal. I'm not going to name names, but if you know who you are, that is it. Oh, and also, the mayor spoke in the Citizen Tribune Tuesday about the jail/justice center being $65 million, and we are getting that number down from that, not capitalized, $75 million, as the lies you and others have told with multiple exclamation points. So which one's the lie? At this point, we've been called liars this whole time, and the proof is right there in the bids. As we can see, you were elected to be stewards of the taxpayers' money. And many of you have posted on Facebook and other social media that you disagree with things going on in Congress at the national level. Wasteful spending, and various different rants about the Democratic Party in Congress, which I agree with. We don't need wasteful spending, which is why you need to focus on a one-level jail. It is not too late to stop this blindly charging ahead, to actually have something we can staff. Because if you're paying the people that work in the jail wages that you can get at Walmart, do you really think they want to risk their lives? I mean, come on now. We need to at least pay the people to the appropriate salary. You haven't even factored that in. I have not seen one solution that includes increased personnel cost, insurance cost, utility cost, everything. It's just single vision, down a tunnel, not even considering the impacts it's going to have on the taxpayers or the deputy safety, because let's be realistic. Isn't he already understaffed? We need to make sure that this will actually work for everyone and not just those who want their name on a building or what have you. We have a viable solution. It's best to use it. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Road. The name escapes me right now, but as a U.S. Congressman on the floor of the House of Representatives said, if you write the law and you let me write the procedures for implementing that law, I'll screw you every time. Because he knew the red tape, the procedures, can tie it all up. A lot of y'all complained about what happens in Washington, but I see you sitting here doing the same thing they're doing up there, using your procedures, parliamentary tactics, whatever you can, to get the result that you want. That's wrong. You should always.
Got a point of order. I don't think this is on the agenda.
Yes, sir.
We're supposed to stick to the agenda topic, please.
I'm getting to that, sir.
All right, let's stick to the agenda items only, sir.
You should also always let the people comment on anything before you do it. Always. Second thing I want to address on the jail issue. I've heard many comments up here of how y'all have looked at all the different designs and all that. Yet, going back through all the meetings, where have you done that? As you said you have. If you've done that in the private talks and private meetings, then we need to have a discussion about the Sunshine Law. Because you have not come in here and had a public meeting and discussed different design options, ways of doing this. You're charging ahead with this simply because you want a new justice center and you got judges over here who want fancy new courtrooms and offices. The jail really doesn't matter to y'all. It's just the offices and the toys that you're pushing ahead with. And it's making the people pay for it. And there was a survey that just came out in the past week of how Morristown is the poorest city in the state of Tennessee. Well, that's something y'all can be proud of because y'all are the ones that put them there.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Can you hear me? My name's Edna Green. I live at 4981 Cameron Road. And my topic tonight is the review of the bids for the Justice Center. And I'm hoping I'm on the agenda, darling. First of all, let me praise the sheriff over there. He came in here, and I was blessed to be at that meeting. I told you folks that a one-level jail was safer, easier to staff, and less expensive for us. Not you folks, us. We're the ones got to pay that bill, not you. So thank you, Sheriff Jonigan. I just wish they'd had enough common sense to listen to you. There was 4 of them that did, but there's a whole lot of them that missed the mark, unfortunately. Second thing, you're supposed to be good stewards. I don't call $82 million good stewards. I want to know how many of you would mortgage your house to pay part of that $82 million instead of burden the taxpayers, especially the elderly. Now, some of you qualify as elderly, just so that you know. So I would expect you to understand a little bit better, but you haven't shown me that. You've disappointed me drastically, and I'm ashamed of some of you, okay? But the 82 million is not an acceptable number. Oh, thank you. He just corrected me. Thank you, darling. 92 million. I was watching the doggone show, and I got all tore up when they went to open the bids. And the mayor didn't look any better, to be honest with you. I think it said he was disappointed. If he thinks he's disappointed, he needs to be one of us taxpayers that don't make $100,000 a year. We don't make what he makes. Glory to God, if I did, I might be willing to give a little bit more. But you folks need to be good stewards. You need to stop and look at the one-level jail. Maybe you're just so headstrong you don't think we deserve you to look. But you were put in as good stewards of your communities. There ain't no one of you that wasn't put in with that ideal from the citizens of the county, of the divisions that you represent. And a lot of you have been so disrespectful that was uncalled for. I am ashamed of the majority of you. There's 4 of you. I'm proud as the devil. And if I had to, I'd get down and kiss your foot tonight because I'm proud of what you've stood for. I just wish that your fellow commissioners had the same backbone and concern as you do. Americans need to wake up. You sit here like you don't hear. What is wrong with you folks? Some of you have finance experience. Some of you own your own businesses. Would you put your business in this jeopardy tonight? The taxpayers are no better. We deserve to be treated fairly. We deserve you to think about what you're doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Aaron Arwood, 1501 Eller Road. I just want to reiterate, just trying to make things just as simple as I can, okay? As far as the jail goes, once again, if you add up the numbers, 34 million already in debt, currently in debt. The first 85 million bond, additional 42, potentially, it's already been, as far as I know, what you voted for, advertised, could potentially additional bond. We're looking in excess of $160 million in debt for this county. There comes a point in time when you are as far in debt as you can potentially go, and there is no wiggle room to do anything else. If you have more schools down the road that need either a new building, some reconstruction, remodeling, etc., there just comes a point in time that we are maxed out on debt. So if we could really please, yes, we need a new jail. We've known that for 20 years. So therefore, 20 years down the road, we're in more need of a new jail than we were 20 years ago because it's just going to deteriorate over that time. But if we can stick with that need a new jail, we don't need the new justice center and courtrooms. That's a want. We, with some scheduling, etc., better scheduling, better logistics all the way around, courtroom size, crowding, etc., can be worked with for now. Please stick with the need. Now, I would also like to make a comment in regards to someone else's comment, just really quick, as far as the resolution 2119. I don't care. To me, it doesn't matter that we're Republican in here. Okay, that's beside the point. The thing is, it's urging Tennessee elected leaders to oppose a federally mandated vaccine. Just comes down to one very, very simple thing: upholding constitutional rights, basic constitutional rights. I will not be mandated nor forced to take a vaccine, and I hope that each and every one of you would do the same thing. If you don't understand, the vaccine does not give you any immunity. It really scares me to see people rotting and their lack of understanding as far as what this vaccine does. The vaccine alters your immune system. There is no immunity. I just couple months back, I had COVID. I have my own personal immunity, which I will stick with.
Thank you for your comments. We appreciate it. Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
My name is Tony Strauzulo. I'm here to talk about the jail. We have once taken bids, and those bids came in lower than the current bids. And you all looked at each other, and you all said that we needed to figure something out. Now's the time to figure something out, because those bids came in higher than before. We can't keep looking for other avenues to justify the expense. We know there's been issues since the start. We know there's financial issues now. We know that there's labor shortages. We know that there's material shortages. We know that there's trucks and equipment shortages. This is not the time to focus on such a large, overwhelming project, not just for the citizens, but also for all of the manufacturers that would have to try to fit this in. Because what happens if we get midway through construction and the supplies are inadequate? Then we're stuck with a building that is partially finished, inmates still in a facility for the next 3 years if all goes right, and we're just playing a game here. This is the time to stand up for the rights of the citizens and for the reason why you all are sitting in those seats. This is the reason. Today is the time to show that you really honestly are here for the right cause. Because any person with any kind of financial background or anyone that pays a bill that understands that when things don't go as planned, you have to find other avenues, and saving is typically that avenue. Not everybody can just run out and borrow more money. You have to top that off. That's why credit cards don't have unlimited amounts. They cap you someplace, at a place where they figure that you can pay back and isn't going to be a financial burden on you. We need to think of that. Getting employees is difficult. It's difficult all across the board. How these people are getting away with not working is way beyond me. I have no idea. But I think a lot of it has to do with the lack of commitment by employers to their employees. Something happens and they're quick to just let them all go. We're not paying you. We're not taking care of anything for you. And the American people have felt that. And I don't think they're willing anymore to just go put in their hard-earned time for zero appreciation. And we would like to appreciate all of you.
Thank you, Tony. Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Rob Burke, 720 White Oak Circle. So I've heard today several different types of discussions, several data points, several different things talking about, this is item 9A about the jail. About people not interested in your plan. I'm not sure why you have this plan and why you're so deep-rooted in this plan, but it's obviously your plan. Even before today, I've either been here personally or when I can't attend personally. Thankfully, we've got people that can record this so I can watch. You have heard multiple times, multiple opportunities to hear why this jail in your plan is not what's best for our community. All this data that's been showing that this one-story jail is much better suited for our community. There's even opportunities in which plans have been presented of a model such as Coffee County. Some of you have looked at it. Some of you refuse to look at it. Some of you lie and say you looked at it when you know that you haven't. That's on you. I'm not really sure what your motivation is, but I've got a few ideas. You've got people that have wore shirts. They've had shirts made. You've had complimentary accessories to their shirts, providing you as much detail as possible, and you still ignore them. So I have to either question that you either refuse to listen Or maybe you just can't hear us. So in an effort to give you the benefit of a doubt and just think that you are all wanting to do what's best, you want to listen to the community, literally that's what you were elected for, correct? Yes, election season's coming up. You know this. Go ahead and get your votes now. But maybe we're not speaking your language. Maybe that's where we have missed it. Maybe you don't read shirts or placards, if you'd like to call them, or stickies, or maybe you don't listen to the words so much. So I decided to, maybe you need something to have your ears tuned to maybe a different frequency or rhythm. So I wrote you a little poem. The Commission's submission to Britain to fall in line like a typical politician, to have this undying ambition, to follow through with the King's vision, to commit an unforgiven sin and not listen to the opposition and instead build a prison under terrible conditions just so he can get recognition, should not be your mission and deserves some reconsideration. You are all in the midst of leaving your legacy. Do you want your name to be do you want your name on a failure of a jail for all to see? Because that's the direction of your affection, or shall I say, infection. So never mind your words, as our detection is that you have an agenda, but instead you should be listening to this section. Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Bonnie Bullington, 317 Stubblefield Street, Whitesburg. Why? That's the biggest question that we all ask ourselves as to why you are so determined to build this justice center. You're not determined to build a jail. You could care less about a jail that this county desperately needs. Y'all could care less. The only thing you're interested in is this fancy justice center, giving all the judges their fancy offices, their fancy courtrooms. Well, I'm going to tell you, the people that have to go in those courtrooms could care less what those courtrooms look like. They've got more problems than whether there's marble on the floor or patty benches or big banners hanging from the walls or what have you. They could care less. And you all have proven continuously that you could care less about building a jail that Hamlin County needs. You won't even consider the idea of putting the sheriff's office in with the jail. No, you want the sheriff's office somewhere else. Stands to reason it would be more effective if the sheriff's office was right there at the jail. The jail is his business. You people could care less about the jail. All you want is the Justice Center, and that begs the question, why? We may never know the answer, but I'll tell you this. We've all got pretty good ideas. Why? Now, there's 4 commissioners that have seen different options to this, and I think every one of you, but the rest of you, you are so misguided. And that begs the question, why? Thank you.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Scott Cutshaw, 1336 Field Drive. I had something that I wanted to address with you today, but it kind of got sidetracked. It hit something in the heart. There's men and women who fought and died to give people the right to be, do, whatever they want, whatever they will. It's called freedom. It's the only this is the only country in the world, pardon my French, that you can be as big an idiot as you want to be
Scott.
and be okay. Now,
Yes.
my thing is
Scott.
with the resolution for the mandate on the vaccine.
Okay, good. Thank you.
It is where my
Okay.
heart tugs. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. Anybody in here has the freedom to wear a mask, to get a vaccine, or to not get a vaccine. But when I was growing up, I got out and I played in dirt, I swam in ponds, and probably ate a few mud pies. That's a little while back, I don't remember. But I developed a thing that's called a natural immune system. I've had the COVID. There's a drug out there, it's called hydroxychloroquine, and you can mix it with zinc, and you survive. But they don't want to sell that. They want to sell a vaccine. Talk about sheep. That's being a sheep. Because there's cures out there. That's why it's called a virus. They can't even cure the common cold. You take a flu vaccine, and you take the one for last year. It's not the one that you're going to get this year if you do get it. All you can do is get your system taken care of, and you treat the symptoms. Now, whenever you come out and nationally they want to mandate that everybody, that me, by not being vaccinated, I'm hurting somebody with a vaccine, how good is your vaccine if I'm hurting you? My natural immune system is stronger than you can get out of any shot out there. I've been told by 3 different doctors that I was crazy if I took a vaccine. Now, you all do, and they can say that you're parading, but I'm 100% behind anybody who will stand up for the rights and the freedom for choice. We're the last bastion of hope.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else who wishes to address the commission? Seeing no one else, then Chairman DeBoer, you're recognized to the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 6A, the approval of the monthly checks, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, then let's vote the motion, please. Can you do that? Okay.
13 yeas, 0 nay, 1 abstain.
Okay, the motion is approved.
Item 6B, the garbage sanitation, discussion of garbage trucks, and I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Neesmith, you're recognized.
During committee, we looked at getting 2 trucks. We couldn't get the trucks that we wanted because the supplier said it'd be 2025 before we could get them, but we were able to find some Mack trucks. And in committee, they voted to buy 2 trucks. But what I like to see is we need a truck. Buy 1 truck and wait till these ships get docked in California so we can get our sensors to fix the trucks that we've got and take up another truck at a later date.
You want to put that in the form of an amendment to the motion?
I'll put that amendment to the motion. We buy 1 Mack truck, wait till we get the sensors that's on a ship somewhere in the Atlantic, Pacific, wherever.
We have an amendment to buy 1 truck instead of 2 trucks. Is there a second to the amendment?
Second.
Mr. Akers has seconded the amendment. Is there any discussion on the amendment to buy 1 truck instead of 2? Yes, sir.
What is the timeline? We have no idea how long those ships are gonna be sitting out there. We hear a lot of rhetoric, we hear a lot of talk. They're gonna work 24/7 to get those things unloaded. Nothing's happened yet. My question is, we don't have a timeline to get those, and that's kind of imposing because we need, Barry said in here the other night, we need the trucks now. And we have a chance to get those trucks in here by March or April, as opposed to the possibility of getting those trucks in 2024, 2025, which we can't do. So the unknown, I think we need to step forward and stay with our plan and get the trucks for the county. I think the alternative would be a disaster.
Yes, sir.
Got a gentleman in the back of the room can tell you status of garbage trucks or whether we can get one or not. Got our sanitation director back here.
Mr. Poole, you've got a new title. You're the sanitation director. That might fit you better than the other
job.
title.
You get several titles on it, right? We've asked for the trucks because we've got trucks that are costing us, have downtime, and we've asked for 2 trucks because we felt like that'd put our fleet that operates every day in good shape for several years. I told you the other night, I'm begging, so I'll take one over none any day. But as Bobby said, I don't know when. It's not a sensor issue for the trucks we have. We do have one truck that needs a sensor, but they're going to try to bypass that electrically to overcome that. But it's not a sensor issue that we're waiting for a ship to dock so that we can get our fleet in good shape. Our trucks are there are a couple of them that need to be replaced bad. That's the reason that we're asking for 2.
All right, any other discussion on the amendment? Hearing no more discussion on the amendment, this is off the board. If you vote yes, you're voting in favor of the amendment to buy only 1 truck. If you vote no, you're voting against the amendment. Call the roll, please.
Jeff Akers,
Yes.
Chris Cutshaw,
No.
Randy DeBoard,
No.
Thomas Doty,
No.
Tim Goins,
No.
Bobby Hahn,
No.
Tim Horner,
No.
Joe Hudson,
No.
Eileen Arnwine,
No.
Mike Reed,
No.
Dwayne Neesmith,
Yes.
Howard Shipley,
No.
Jim Stepp,
No.
Taylor Ward.
Yes.
3 yeas. And
All right, the amendment fails. We're back to the original motion. The original motion is to purchase 2 trucks. Any more discussion regarding the original motion?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to add that I did go out and look at the difference in the cost of the different trucks, and I have it listed here if anyone wants to see it. And it does look like the Max have a good longevity record and a little bit lower cost of operation. It's a little bit hard to tell because of the, you're looking at dump trucks versus garbage trucks, but the general consensus here is that the dump trucks have performed better than the others.
Anyone else? Hearing none, let's vote the motion, please.
70,000 for 2 trucks.
Commissioner?
14 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, the motion is approved.
Item 6C, the RFQ for contractors and architects of ADA and fire safety survey for the Hyde House and the Tapestry House, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 6C, 12 yea, 1 nay, 1 abstain.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D, budget amendments.
I've got something on that. Who owns the Tapestry house? Who owns that? Does Hamlin County own that we're fixing to spend some money on, or?
It's not owned by the county. It's owned by two individuals who operate a jail ministry in the jail, and also are wanting to expand that into a transitional housing program using that house. And so that would benefit our the folks that we have in jail, and hopefully keep them from coming back as quickly. The idea for us to help with the ADA and fire safety audit is it'd be cheaper to do them both together, and also be an in-kind contribution to it's a 501c3 organization. It's called Tapestry for Women, and we will benefit from it in the future.
Do you have any idea what price range you're looking at?
As far as what the cost of the audit?
Cost to do all that we're gonna have done?
$5,000.
$5,000?
Have a. Okay, item 6B on budget amendments, Fund 101, Planning and EMA for $744, and that's an increase in educational incentives, and I put it in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 61, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D2, Fund 101, Inspection and Regulations for the Civil Service Board, and that's for $1,455, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 6D2, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D3, Fund 101, Chancery Court for $1,300 for purchase of scanners, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 63, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D4, for General Sessions Court, this is $139,675 for judicial commissioners, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Judicial commissioners.
Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
It's the magistrates, isn't it? That's the magistrates.
Item 64, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D5, Fund 101 for Sheriff's Department of $203.79, and that's being moved out of public safety account, and I put it in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 65, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D6, Fund 101 for Sheriff's Department for $4,446 to increase based on salary, based off of a salary study, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, then let's vote the motion, please.
Item 66, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D7, Fund 101, Sheriff's Department for $375 for SRO training, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 67, 14 yea, 0 nay.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D8, Fund 116 for Garbage and Sanitation Department. This is for pay increases,
of $2.50 an hour, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 68, 14 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion is approved.
Item 69, Fund 131 for Highway Department, $11,800, and this is for mineral surveillance tax, and I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please. Commissioner Akert or Commissioner Goen?
Item 69, 14 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion is approved.
Item 6D10, Fund 131 for Highway Department, $79,500 for pay increases, and I put that in the form of a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 6D10,
Okay, the motion is approved.
yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, sorry. Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner DeBoard, or Chairman DeBoard. This time, the chair recognizes Chairman Tim Goins of the Public Service Committee.
Thank you, Chairman. Item 7A, Resolution 21-19, resolution to urge Tennessee elected leaders to oppose the federally proposed vaccine mandate. I put that in the form of motion.
We have a motion. We have a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Neesmith, you are recognized.
You know, this federal government come up with this regulation, and we're asked, the state is asked to not to do what the federal government wants us to, and we're asked to go before the state, and we're supposed to vote on what we're not supposed to do. I think we're wasting our time even voting on this, because it's a federal regulation. They got nothing to do with the county commission, they got nothing to do with the state of Tennessee.
Yes, it does.
That's the way I feel that. Mandates, I'm against them. I'm against them, because I don't want anybody to tell me what I've got to do. I've got to take a shot, I don't have to take a shot. I'm against mandates, but on the county level and the state level, we've got no say-so on this thing. It's federal government, it's in their hands, they're the one that come up with it. They're the ones that's going to decide whether they're going to back off on it or whatever.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
So if you go, you're for the mandate. Against the mandate. Yes, okay.
Commissioner Ward?
Item 7A, 13 yeas, 0 nays, 1 abstain.
The motion is approved.
Thank you, Chairman. That's all I have.
Thank you, Chairman Goins. At this time, the chair will recognize Chairman Jeff Gardner of the Redistricting Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Redistricting Committee met in open meeting on September 28th and approved changes to be made to the commission districts. The next step is that the legislative body adopts a resolution finalizing the district plan. So on behalf of the Redistricting Committee, we submit to the legislative body of Hamilton County Resolution 21-20 for adoption for the final district plan.
I think that
Chairman,
one of the commissioners will need to make that motion.
I'll make that motion that we approve that.
Okay. Chairman, we have a motion and we have a second. Any discussion? Commissioner Shaw, you are recognized.
Mr. Gardner, I just wonder, to answer, was demographics concerned, or were they considered as far as redistricting?
Yes, it was taken into consideration. The Comptroller of the Treasury gives us a criteria, mostly 3 criteria to meet. One is the 10% standard of equal population, which means they gave us an ideal population of 4607. We have to be within a minus or a plus 5% of that population. So we met that. We met the minority representation set forth by the Voting Rights of 1965, and also making the districts compact and contiguous.
Thank you, Jeff. I'm just glad to hear that.
Anyone else? Seeing none, let's vote the motion, please.
Item 8A, 14 yeas, 0 nays.
The motion is approved. At this time, the chair recognizes Chairman Tim Horner of the Justice Center Jail Project Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item 9A, review of bids for Justice Center project. We have Blaine Construction here with us tonight. I would like you guys to come up and allow any commissioner who has a question maybe to go with Brian. Okay. Brian's our architect, mostly.
Having me tonight. I wish I was bringing better news, but unfortunately I am not bringing good news. That I think you all already know that the bids came in higher. I think I prepared a quick little slide just so you guys can see that. Y'all gonna change it?
Yeah. Do you have a clicker for him? No, you're just going to have to tell her and she.
I'll point. Basically, what I was going to share is the bid tabulation sheet, which I'm hoping you guys have received already and seen that. I'll just kind of go over the numbers then, since you can't visually see it. We did receive 5 bids from our 5 pre-qualified general contractors. The apparent low bidder was Blaine Construction Corporation. Their total base bid, including all alternates, was $92,281,200.48. That is, we did a comparison. Oh, okay, there it is. Hard to see. It's pretty small. Did a quick comparison of these numbers versus the numbers that we received in April. The low bid did come in about $4.3 million higher than it did in April. That is about a 5% overall increase from the April's receipt of bids to the October receipt of bids. We did see kind of an increase in all of the alternates as well. If I was going to remind you with some slides on what the alternates 1, 2, and 3 were, because that's maybe a little confusing. I think I have to kind of share that every time. But basically, the base bid of the project was to shell the 3rd floor completely, and alternate number 1, 2, and 3 were to upfit various housing pods in 3 sections. So that's what the numbers you see there for each of those alternates are. And then there's a couple of preferred brand alternates there and an alternate for the paving at the EMS parking lot. And then I think my final slide was basically kind of our discussion on, I think you're going to get it now, right? So this was alternate number 1, was to upfit the 2 dormitories. That was 80 beds. So the base bid included 425 beds. Alternate number 1 was to upfit the 2 dormitories on the 3rd floor, which would add 80 beds. Alternate number 2 there was to upfit the 2 smaller double cell units, which would add an additional 38 beds. And then alternate number 3 was to upfit the final 2 double cell housing pods, which would add another 78 beds. So all in, if you accepted all the alternates, that would be a total of 621 beds, if that makes sense. And then I think the recommendation that we're going to ask for, I believe later on this evening, is the total base bid and accepting alternates 1 through 4 and alternate 6, which would bring the total contract sum there to $92,208,500.48. I am here to take questions. Tony Pettit, the county's construction manager, is also here to answer questions, and Blaine Construction Corporation representatives are also here to answer questions. So I think we've got you covered if there's questions that we can help address.
Any questions from the commission?
Could you remind us again what number 5 was? It's not included in your...
Alternate number 5 was the paving of the EMS parking lot.
And that will be reimbursed to us.
My understanding from the mayor
Yeah.
is that is going to be reimbursed, yes.
Hyde, when we were looking at this in April and sent it back out for rebids to see what we could do to lower the price, at that time we were looking at jail sales. What have we decided to do on sales? Are you back with straight metal or?
Yeah, the project still included steel cells, steel detention cells. So
Instead of the...
That's what was in the project.
Jack units.
Yes, sir.
Do we have any insight to material cost?
For what was included in the bid, or?
Well, moving forward, I mean, we lost ground. We should accept it in April, most likely,
Yes, it does appear that
as
way.
to what we get
Yes.
today for the same dollar. I mean, prices don't come down, not very much.
Correct.
I mean, we might see a fluctuation from here to there. You know, we can argue this from now on, and it's a crystal ball. I mean, is the stock market going to crash sometime? Probably so. Yeah. I just don't see things changing much in the next few years, and we don't have time to waste. I mean, the sheriff has asked for a jail, yes, for 12 years or better, if I'm correct. How long?
16.
16. Sorry, sir. Yes, sorry.
2006.
Yes, sir. And, you know, we've had the discussion, the kicking the can down the road. We're there. That's just an opinion.
Is there any insight as to why the bids came in higher, although futures, concrete and steel, I'm looking at them right here, are lower than they were back in April?
I can't answer that, Commissioner Doty. I think maybe some of my colleagues here might be able to answer.
If anyone can answer that, I'd be happy to hear. I mean,
Futures of steel dropped from August, and they're dropping now, but it hasn't reached the steel houses yet. And lumber dropped from April when we were talking about it, but it's now going back up, so it's trending back up. We think it's not the record high as it was in May, but it is trending back up. We feel like that we're in unprecedented times. I've never seen escalation of prices from April till now, increase in steel. I mean, it's up 111% for a year over year. Some of that you got to take into account that we had 2020, the COVID years, but still never dropped in those 20 years when it was a depressed market. It still continues to rise. Stuff is scarce. Bar joists are long lead items, and it's still very much in demand. Amazon has got 60% of the steel market wrapped up with metal deck and bar joist, so they're building everything everywhere. So tendencies for steel over historic durations, my career, I've never seen them go down much. I've seen them fluctuate, and then you'll hit another bump the first of the year, and hopefully they'll stay steady, but I don't know whether they'll go down or not.
but that didn't answer the question. My question was, the prices are lower right here on the internet.
I have a guy that's lived with his job. Excuse me, I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry. I'll get to that question then. I can't answer that question. I got a guy that's lived with this thing 8 weeks in April and 6 weeks in October from Blaine that can answer very specifics because he saw the numbers that come in last Thursday. So
construction. I hear your data, but we have not seen pricing decrease at all. In fact, we've seen pricing go up almost on a weekly basis. I can give you some percentages. From April to October, the steel price on this job went up 44%. Roofing and insulation went up 52%. So that's just two examples of what we're seeing right now.
I was just looking at Market Watch, and I looked at it in April when they said that it was futures that it was bid on, and by Market Watch, steel, concrete are both lower than they were in April. That was my question.
Yeah, we are not seeing lower prices. We're continuing to see them go up every month. And we're being told that it's indefinite.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Tim, this, so we're not locked in at 100 and, I think these figures at the bottom of the page, at 103,390,554. We're not locked in at that. Just like you said, the prices are gonna go up. We don't know. He doesn't know.
You have a bid that's good right now to complete that jail for the $92,208,548. You're locked into that.
We're locked in for the duration of the project.
Unless scope changes, there's, allowances and stuff that's bid in the job. It's been competitively bid, but that's your number.
That's quite a gamble on a contractor, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that is 621 beds?
Yes. The 92 includes alternates, all alternates but number 5.
Any other questions? Mayor?
What I'll go over is the financing and the financial side of this. Heard the story on the bids and the bricks and mortar side of it. You've got a presentation in front of you, and then the back sheet, like what Wayne was looking at. This sheet right here is the budget for the project. The entire budget for land purchases, the geo work, the furniture, fixture, and equipment, the contingency on the construction side. So all of it. Can we get it up? I mean, they've got it in front of them. If you can just keep working on trying to get it up, that'd be great.
This is a problem we're having on our computers when we get the package. The stuff is so tiny, when you try to enlarge it, it's off the screen. Now, I don't know whether it's my computer or what, but I'm just giving up on it.
Right.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just had to complain a little bit.
All right. So what I'll be doing is I'll be referring to your presentation, all right, that you have in front of you. All right, you have your cover sheet. The next page is titled Justice Center Project Budget. This is for the Justice Center project, the construction with the bid if you look at the budget sheet too, there's the presentation. Then if you look at the budget sheet, you'll see these three areas of the budget. And the first is the construction cost, which you have the bid of $92,208,500, and then a 2% contingency of $1.85 million for a total of $94,058. That's the construction side as far as the budget goes. Then you have the professional services, which includes the design fee, the manager's fee, the reimbursable cost, the commissioning agent, the soils testing, and other third-party inspections. That it's at $5,256,301. And then you have your property acquisitions, your furnishings, your fixtures, and your equipment. That's the FF&E, and some other soil testing, the demolition that we've already done. And the FF&E we have calculated at 2.16% or $2 million. Thank you. And I'm on page 2. So the total of the land, FF&E, and permits is $4,075,000. So the total budget for the project is $103,390,554. So that's for the Justice Center project. Now, what I want to present to you is a financing plan for not only the Justice Center, but also for Lincoln Elementary and the West High renovation project. West High is done, except for, I'm not sure if the paving's done or not.
Paving's done.
But is it done? The West High paving's done. So, so West High is done. And we already borrowed the money for that, and so, but that is included in the financing plan, the money that we already borrowed and that we got to pay back. So, all the budgets put together, the West High renovation, the next slide, please. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah, that's got it. Is the total's $147,955,54. You have the West High renovation at $10,000,004. You have the Lincoln Elementary, which is $27 million. Now that includes $5 million that the school system is going to put in it with their ESSER money, and then $22 million in borrowed money, and then the Justice Center project at $103,390,554. Next slide, please. All right, and then the source of funding for the $140,900,000, we're authorized to borrow by the resolutions that you guys have passed earlier, $127,400,000. That's what we're authorized to borrow. Then I'm proposing that we use in this financing plan $8.5 million of the ARP money, which we do qualify to use that for this type of project. And then the school system's $5 million of ESSER funds. That would be the source of revenue or funding for these projects. Next slide, please. So we have the total funding available of $140,900,000. You have the project budgets totaling $140,790,554. So we have a balance of $109,000. That would not be, that is not budgeted, that we do have available. Now, next slide, please. All right, then here's the financing plan in my discussions with Cumberland Securities, and we've discussed this over the past couple of days. We've already issued $20 million. That was done in January of 2020. It was a $30 million or 30-year issue at 2.39%. So that's the lowest rate that Hamilton County has gotten in a bond issue since in my 28 years. Then the next issue would be in December of this year. It'd be a $10 million issue. It'd be what's called a bank qualified issue, which means that there'll be more, the market for buyers of these bonds will be greater because banks and lending institutions can get better tax benefits off of that. And so that will be a $30 million issue. It's budgeted at 2.75%. Then in June of 22, June of next year, we would issue $50 million for 30 years, and that has been budgeted at 3.25%. And then in September of 22, we would issue $22 million, which would be the school money, because the school system would spend their $5 million getting their plans ready, and so their first $5 million of expenses would be the ESSER funds, And then and based on a drawdown schedule that they submitted to us, the $22 million would be borrowed just in one issue, so we can track it. And through all the years, you can see as it's paid back, this was the issue for the new Lincoln Elementary, and this is where we are as far as payback goes. Right now, it would be issued for 26 to 28 years, and it could change as we see what the 10 million issue and the 50 million issue bring. And it's budgeted right now at 3.25%. And then in March of 23 would be the last money that we would borrow. It'd be a 25-year issue at 25.4 million. So, and that we've got that budgeted right now at $3.5 million. Next slide, please. Now, what you're seeing in front of you now is the chart that are, what does all this mean? What does all this borrowing mean? Where are we as far as financially in the debt service? This is where what the big picture is on financing these projects is with current revenue stream. With our current revenue stream that we have this fiscal year, we can pay for these projects without any additional revenue or any property tax increase. And we've structured it that way. We've been very conservative in the interest rates. We are hopeful. There's no guarantees, but we're hopeful that the interest rates that we have budgeted are higher than what we actually would get. We're hopeful that the bonds will sell at a premium like the first 20 million did, which would be additional money, which would reduce the amount of bonds that we would have to issue at the tail end of the financing. We have budgeted in here level growth in revenue, right? That's kind of a oxymoron there. No growth in revenue, so that the income that we're receiving right now is what we would receive throughout the life of the 30 years of this project. So we're not factoring in any growth in the property, in what a penny brings in. And our experience has been that each year we have some growth in what a penny on the tax rate brings in. So we've been very conservative with that. So the way that, if you look at your slide in front of you, the dotted line is the fund balance. That's the fund balance in debt service. And we started the fiscal year we're in now with a $9 million fund balance. With our budget shows, our projections for this year shows that we'll climb to about $12 million in fund balance on June 30 of 22. It'll continue building through 24, 25, and then we'll start using fund balance to start paying off some of the bonds. So the fund balance will grow over $15 million, and then we'll start using fund balance, and we'll have 8 years where we spend more money than we take in, but that's why we've built the fund balance, is that we will draw from the savings to make the payments, and it's all part of the plan. But as you look at the dotted line, it does not fall under what our payments would be, what our debt service would be. Another conservative way of managing this debt service. And then one thing too is in 1998 to 2002, I think, was when we built what are now East Ridge and Westview Middle School. We added on to some elementary schools. We built the courthouse administration building. We built the annex onto the Justice Center. We built the highway department building in that 4-year period. And at that time when we financed it as level debt, meaning the payments were the same every year. And so we created no capacity to issue more debt. And so what this plan is a better plan than the one that was back in 1998, is that after, starting in about year 2034, you're going to start creating capacity with no additional revenue. You will have some availability of funding to finance more projects, whether it be school projects or whatever. So in this plan, there is debt availability or money available to service more debt later on. But this is the financing plan. We can do it with, if you choose to accept the bid and move forward, we can pay for all three projects, West High, Lincoln, and the Justice Center without any additional revenue, and do it very conservatively. So, any questions?
Bill, did you say some good debt was coming off in the next little while?
It's factored in. There is some debt, let's see, about roughly, these are rough numbers, $2.5 million next year, 2.5 the next year. One's for roads that we issued for some road paving, another was for schools for one of the additions, I think the West High Freshman Academy. And then in 2025 is the final payment on the last issue back from 2002.
So we have no big number debt coming off.
Well, what's called E4A, which is what is paid off in 25, we're paying big chunks of it these next 3 years, like $3 to $5 million, something like that each year. But that's all factored into this one.
Bill, do we have any numbers in here? When Dr. Perry came and talked about the Lincoln Elementary project, he also mentioned that after that completion, that they would be coming back for more money to renovate the existing Lincoln Elementary and Lincoln Middle to where they could utilize those. Do we have any numbers on that in this? Because that's going to be more debt.
So this is
quickly.
just, the 27 million is just for the new school. Now, let me be clear that to start any other project and to try to finance any other project would take more revenue, and would take a tax increase. Other than these three projects, right now, as we look at it, and it could change as time goes. You know, if the interest rates we get on the bond issues are lower than what we've budgeted, there'll be more money available. If once the bonds become callable, or where we can pay some of them off, if our revenue has increased, the normal property tax revenue and other revenue that goes in the debt service has increased, we might be able to pay some bonds off early, and that would give us some more capacity. But this plan, and I would say for at least the first 5 years, is any additional project to finance it would take a property tax increase or moving money around from another fund. But to answer your question, Thomas, there's no money. Any questions on the financing side of it? Yes, sir.
So, status legally right now, or demands from up above as to what we're gonna do about the jail situation?
I mean, as far as like from the state?
Yeah, are we under any additional pressure lately?
I mean, we're not certified. I mean, but it's
Yeah,
been
not
that way
certified,
since
so
2010.
that knows how long.
We still have some federal lawsuits that are pending. But that's, I mean.
We just seem to push that aside and forget about it like it's gonna go away, and it's, I think that's gonna come down on us like a brick one of these days.
The current jail is I mean, we've had trouble maintaining liability insurance on the current facility. We had 2 companies drop us in the last 5 years, and we had the firm that we have now is watching this project. when they were here a couple of weeks ago for some training, they asked me where we were. And so that's an issue that we have. Now, with the lower population, that helps with the working conditions for staff and for the safety of them and the inmates. But when it's not the safest facility that we have right now, by any means. And,
Any other questions? This time, I would like to make a motion to approve the low bid from Blaine Construction, including alternates 1, 2, and 3 for $92,208,500.48, and move forward with contract negotiations. And again, I'll put that in form of a motion.
We have a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Mr. Goins seconds the motion. Any discussion? Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, I'm gonna ask them, this is just so much. The mayor's already said, without additional revenue increases, we can't borrow anymore till after 2034. There's gonna be more things come in. We're gonna be locked down, and I just don't wanna see us do that. There's other avenues here other than this. We can start cutting. There's cuts to be made. There's places that things can be trimmed. There's parts that we can do away with that we don't need, in my opinion. I just think this is too much money to spend at this time. And I'd like for y'all to think about that hard before we vote.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to reiterate what Commissioner Doty said. He's right. This is way too much money, and the schools, in my opinion, have always been very important as well. And linking these together when you vote no makes you look bad. I'm not against schools, but this much debt, it's like with your home budget. If you borrow too much, you can't pay it back, and that's what concerns me right now. Looking at the country now, looking at several businesses in town here where they can't get people to work for them now. They've got shortages with employees now, and I'm just worried about the tax revenue this next quarter or even the following quarter. We need to look at some options to cut this back to be good stewards of the taxpayers' money.
Anyone else?
Chairman.
Yes, sir.
This has been, I call it unfortunate that we're in this position that we as a county have to do this. It's unfortunate. I'd rather build schools. I'd rather build anything but a jail. Anything but a jail. But it's unfortunate that we are in this position. It's unfortunate. And I do have concerns. I agree with Commissioner Doty. I agree with Commissioner Akerd. It concerns me for the future of Hamlin County. But when I look at this as a whole, I also see this as an opportunity to do something for 40 to 50 years that costs less today than it will 10 years from now. So what do? Do you make that tax increase today, or do you wait 10 years? It's coming. One way or the other, we can't continue where we're at. We have to continue. Guys, we had a daily population of 475 before we started this. We were hitting over 500. Why would we build 400? Okay, the magistrates are coming. We don't have any definite possibility that the population is going down. We don't know that. If it doesn't go up, hallelujah, we built something that'll last longer than 50 years. Secondly, staffing. I've heard this argument about staffing. Jim Hart was here. He said staffing for the multi-level to the single level would be less than 10 if you fully staff. if we only have 400 at the time, we only staff for 400. It's a break even. You don't have to worry about that. Safety, I've heard this. We had the fire marshal sign off on this. How is it unsafe? We've had everybody look at this. Folks, it's not what I want. This is not. I wish it would cost $35 million like Joe Jarvis said. I would love that today. Those days are gone. They sailed. It's a combination of ideas, folks. I find it very unfortunate the sheriff is in my district. I support the sheriff. I support the one-level jail. I like the idea. So what did we do? We combined the ideas. We have a wagon wheel jail built on multi-level. Guess why? Because we already had land, and our architects said it's not prudent to build longer for more than 400. These are decisions that we have discussed for 3 years in this very room. We've heard the professionals. I'm not a professional. I've listened to financing. I've listened to architects. I listened to the construction folks. Guys, this is not an easy decision. It's never been an easy decision, but this decision has come to us. And it is what it is. I'm sorry. I hate that it costs that. I find it unfortunate, but I think we've got to push forward.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add something else.
We have to let the other commissioners address the body before we come back to you.
Mr. Cutshaw, how many people do you say it take to staff this facility?
Jim Hart, if I remember correctly, said it could take up to 120, thereabouts. But he also said it would depend on the safety of the population. We don't have to staff at 120 right now. If you build a bigger Walmart, Wayne, you've got to have more people. It doesn't matter if it's a jail or a McDonald's, you got to have more people if you build bigger. So the argument, if we've got a 255-bed jail now, if we got to have 400 or more, it's going to take more people. Okay. That's what we'll staff to, is to the population.
Okay, Jim Hart's figure was 128.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so you've got, ESCO right now is budgeted for 53.
Yes, sir.
ESCO, I think you got about 47 people. He can't even get the personnel to give him what he's staffed for, and hasn't since he's been a sheriff. All right, we staff this, get this thing for 600. How we gonna pay for staffing it? Staffing is not in this. Staffing's not in these numbers.
So what do you propose?
You're basing it on $40,000 per person. You're close to $5 million a year that's going to take to staff it. That's not, money's not been borrowed for it. You're going to have to take it somewhere. I don't know where you're going to get it. But the big thing is, ESCO cannot get the people. And he's not the only county around here that can't get the people. They're not going to go in there and work for $20, $21 an hour when they can go out here and do other stuff for more money. He can tell you that. In fact, I wish he'd tell us about it. Jump in here. But he has a hard time getting his staff right now. And they're dropping like flies. People are leaving.
A new facility will help that.
Go work for the city, go to work for the county, go to the city, make more money. That's the same situation this goes in right now.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Chairman?
Yes.
You know, we've talked about a lot of things, and there's going to be issues come up. We know that. This is going to be a joyful hayride for any of us. The points have been brought up, staffing. You threw out a figure of $5 million fully staffed. Well, that's not $5 million more, because we're already paying roughly half that now. So we have to keep that in mind. I think the new facility will help entice employees to come in and work. I don't know how much. Well, would you rather work in that dungeon or in a new facility? I think that'll entice people to come in to work.
Don't interfere with his comments, please.
Folks, we allowed you to speak without comment. I appreciate the same respect. Now, we've heard a lot of negatives. Jim Hart basically said you build a one-level jail or you build a multi-story jail. The staffing's going to be really close. It goes on the number of inmates. So you put 500 inmates in, doesn't matter what the design is, you got to have so many people to run that. Now that comes from the expert in the state. Jim Hart knows what he's talking about. As far as safety, everybody that we've talked to has told us that the safety factor is not a factor. Don't have to worry about it. We walked into a meeting in Knoxville 2 or 3 weeks ago, and Sullivan County, which is one of the most prosperous counties in the state, certainly in East Tennessee, and they had their design up there, and I'll be honest with you, at first I thought it was ours. Almost a carbon copy of what we're building here. They are prosperous enough they can have pretty much anything they want. So when you talk about this one-level jail, I know you push it. You say we haven't done our research. Just this group of commissioners have been researching this for 3 years. And we continue to research it. We continue to look at ways to effectively pay for this, effectively run this. You know, when we started this, we said $65 million. You guys said 30 or 35 million. Your estimates have doubled, correct? Our estimates have not doubled. Not hardly. So we all go into this in a learning process, and we're doing the best we can. We research, we look at things, we go to meetings, we travel. So when you guys come in here and tell us that we're not doing our due diligence, that we're not researching, we're not studying, you don't have any idea what we do. You have no idea. And you sit back there and you chuckle and try to say we're incompetent. Some of you guys come to the podium and make comments that are completely out of left field. I've stood up here and I've listened to you guys call us every name in the world. We've been threatened with our Christian salvation over this jail. You can shake your head. It's happened. I've been here every meeting. And you're the one that did it. We've got to push forward and do this for the county. That's incumbent upon us. That's what we were elected to do. You want to vote us out of office next time? Get your person, run against us, get your votes. That's fine. I'll go home and play with my grandkids. Instead of coming up here twice a month and having somebody stand up and I don't know what they're talking about, telling me that I don't have a backbone, that I'm an idiot, I don't know what I'm doing, and God's going to condemn me to hell for it. I've sat up here for over 3 years and listened to this, and it's got to stop. This whole country is divided. We're divided. This room is divided. I was talking to Commissioner Doty. This room's divided. We can't come together, and I'm going to tell you something. We're going to build a jail. We're going to take this forward because it's necessary and it's the right thing to do. We would love to have 100% support in this county. We know we won't get that. But that would be our goal. The pettiness has to stop. The snide comments have to stop.
Do we have anyone else who has not already addressed this commission who wants to make a comment? Okay, Commissioner Aker?
No, I've already said what I wanted to say.
Commissioner Doty, you wanted to?
Yes, sir. There are things we can cut from this. it was said we have to do, yeah, we need to build a jail. We need to build a jail. But when we started this, it was a jail. And then we added a justice center. I would love to have it. I would love to have a new justice center, new courtrooms, all the storage room that we could get, all the new offices. But when you can't afford it and continue to run the government the way we are without raising taxes and costs, something has to be cut. That's all I'm asking, guys. Look at it, think about it, and cut it before we go further. It doesn't have to be all cut, but we need to make some cuts somewhere. This is just too much, in my opinion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to reiterate again what Thomas Doty's saying. It has to be cut. Taxes are going to be increased, and most people can't afford to pay that, especially if they're elderly on fixed incomes. That being said, why not just build the jail, start out with that? I mean, you know, we got to have a jail, I know, then do the jail. It will save a bunch of money so far. It'll be a lot less cost, a lot less burden to the taxpayers. Like Commissioner Doty said, I'm not against having a nice facility, but right now, it's scary. It scares me to go into this kind of debt in this small county, especially with the way things are going. So that's all I have to say.
We have a motion, and we have a second on the floor. Our systems are down, so this is going to be a roll call vote. They could not put it back up, and so the motion, Mr. Well, I think we got a second.
All right, got it.
We have a second.
If we have a second. You want to read that motion again? Listen very carefully.
Motion to approve the low bid from Blaine Construction, including alternates 1, 2, and 3 for $92,208,548, and to move forward with the contract negotiations.
All right, you have the motion. You vote yes in favor of the motion, no if you're not in favor of the motion. Call the roll, please.
Jeff Aker,
No.
Chris Cupshaw,
Aye.
Randy DeVore,
Yes.
Thomas Doty,
No.
Tim Goins,
Aye.
Bobby Hahn,
Aye.
Tim Horner,
Yes.
Joe Huntsman,
Aye.
Eileen Arnwine,
Yes.
Mike Reed,
No.
Wayne Neesmith,
No.
Howard Shipley,
Yes.
Jim Stepp,
Yes.
Taylor Ward.
No.
All right, before she tallies the vote, since we're spending,
It's 9 yeas.
does anybody want to change their vote? I don't want anybody to come up here later on and tell me they didn't have an opportunity to change the vote. Okay, we have 9 yeas. The motion is approved. Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have.
thank you. I think Mayor Britton has some last-minute things that he needs to do.
We've got a draft contract. We had it prepared in case you voted for the proposal. Trish, how many copies in here? So that's for you to start reviewing. Also, I've prepared a notice to Chairman Shipley of a special called meeting for two purposes. I'll read this memo to you and then I'll hand it to the chair. This is official notice that I've called a special meeting of the Hamilton County Commission for 5 o'clock Monday, November 1st, 2021 in this large courtroom in the courthouse. Purpose for the meeting, or purposes for the meeting, are to discuss and vote on the contract with Blaine Construction Company of Knoxville for the construction of the new Justice Center, and 2, to discuss and vote on the bond resolution for a $10 million issue for the Justice Center project. So those will be the 2 items.
What's that date, Bill?
It's November the 1st. It's a Monday,
5 o'clock.
5 o'clock in this room.
And the 10-day rule starts tomorrow morning. Thank you, sir.
And we'll be doing what again? I didn't hear it all.
Discussing and voting on the contract that you have, and then discussing and voting on the bond resolution for the $10 million issue.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we will entertain non-agenda item comments only, non-agenda items. You have 3 minutes. Ma'am, there's a lady right behind you.
Edna Green, 4981 Cameron Road. Mr. Doty, Commissioner Doty, thank you. Commissioner Aker, thank you. Commissioner Neesmith, thank you. And I think Mr. Huntsman, you voted no.
Vote on it again.
Thank you. Mr. Reed, thank you. I messed up. I apologize, sir. I want to say up front, we need a jail, and I know we need a jail. But I will certainly agree with Commissioner Doty. You don't need the wait a minute. I know, but I'm expressing my opinion of what happened tonight. Then I've got one.
Non-agenda items only, madam.
All right, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I'd like to know how many lawsuits are against the jail right now, from the point where the folks died in the jail, and you have some of those, even though some of you commissioners are not aware of them. Some of them are. I've talked to them about it. I'd like to know how many lawsuits you've got against you as far as otherwise for Hamlin County. Then I would like to know as well on the federal class action lawsuit regarding bail, and if it is won, and I fully expect it to be won because it's a matter of law, it will reduce how many people you have in jail. You folks need to read, and you want to talk about safety? 2 people versus 15 is a big safety difference. At my age, I might wrestle 2 of you, but if 15 of you jumped on me, I wouldn't have a snowball's chance. So you're entitled to your opinion, but you need to remember we are as well. Yes, we voted and put you in. Some of you we voted against you, and we will vote against you again. But you need to be good stewards. I am so proud of the commissioners that stood tonight. And for you that did not, I am ashamed of you. And that's just my personal opinion, and thank God I'm entitled to it tonight. But we have looked at the safety aspect. I looked at Coffee County, and I'm going to say this because I want somebody to understand. I looked at Coffee County. I went up in the tower. I saw the difference with 1 employee up there versus how many's in the jail. Praise God, I ain't been in the jail in years to have to release a car for the towing company, and I thank God for that tonight. But there's a big difference in trying to control 2 people and trying to control 15. That's the reason that you've got one of the sheriff's officers that had to leave his job because he got hurt. 3 jumped him. And even though he was a good-sized boy, just like I am a good-sized girl, he didn't have a chance. So you need to do some checking. You ain't done enough research, darlings.
Anyone else? Yes.
Bonnie Bullington, 317 Stubblefield Street, and I would like to make a general public comment. First of all, the ones that voted against the Justice Center, not against the jail, but against the Justice Center, because that's what this came down to. It was even right up there on that screen, and we've got it on video to prove it. There was not a word about the jail. It was the School and Justice Center project, and that's what this has been all along. And to the ones who sat here tonight and fought to cut expenses Even Commissioner Akert, I said, I think, is the one that said, just build the jail. I think I made that comment in here probably 6 months ago. Build the jail. Forget the Justice Center right now. We can't afford it. But for those of you who have fought to save this county some money, thank you from the very bottom of my heart. And to the rest of you, well, you do what you think you have to do. Only you can answer to your actions. And, you know, to my Commissioner, Chris Cutchall, you made a very wonderful speech for your mayor tonight. I'm sure he's proud of you. I'm not, and Whitesburg won't be either.
Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
Darrell Harwood, Eller Road. First of all, according to your own agenda, it doesn't say non-agenda items, it says
Sir,
general comments.
Look at the rules of the body. They're very plain and clear, non-agenda
I'm going to
items.
be making a general comment.
Well, I think you need to read the rules of the body because it says non-agenda. Okay.
Watch how you print it then.
The rules of the body under, you can read that. It's a,
Please, folks, please. We gotta have some decorum. I'm not happy about the way things went. Please, please. We gotta have some decorum. We don't need it. These two only.
We don't need y'all. No, we don't. Miller's Ditch, number 2. God, the lawsuit's coming down.
Continue now.
Yeah.
Mr. Holm made a very good point, talking about the garbage trucks, that we don't know what's going to happen. We don't have timelines. Most of y'all know I work as an electrician. I've, in just 2 projects just in the past 2 weeks, one of them made $20,000 renovation in a basement. The other one, Rick Tilley's house being rebuilt where it burnt down. And both of them come to a sliding halt. One of them over a $5.27 electrical box. Can't get them. Another one is about a $20 part. Can't get it. And the project can't go forward without them. What do you think is going to happen over here when you start building this? Because unless you have a construction company that has every single piece of material that's going to be needed for this project, already said again, a warehouse, you're going to have delays like you ain't going to believe. We are in unprecedented times of what we've went through in the past year and a half. And this project should be scaled back, as Mr. Doty has said. We listened to Representative Burwell come up here and told us about micro piles and all this selling us a bill of goods and, oh, we're going to cut the cost down. And instead, we're spending more. This county is too small to spend $100 million for a jail and justice center. We do need to scale it back. It is time to look at other options. We need a jail only. We don't need a bunch of fancy offices and courtrooms just because somebody in here wants to kiss up to a judge.
anyone else? Yeah. Pull the mic down so thank you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Florence Kegley, and I live at 2948 Gully Lane in Whitesburg. I am here for something way different than the jail. I'd like to ask Mr. Britton if he could clarify that he had spoken to all of the commissioners regarding our squatters on Mountain Road. Mountain Road is off of Warrensburg. We are the last road, second to the last road before you hit Greene County going out Warrensburg Road. And we've been having problems for 2 years. We've had our houses appraised and we sit on acreage It's all farmland, it's all agricultural out there, and it's all forestry. I mean, we're very secluded, but we have a problem with this gentleman out there that has already been before the Planning Commission and was told he would be fined if he did not clean out the mess he's got. What he's done is he has called in campers and he rents these campers out to people. Some of them are sitting right on the road, which means they're sitting on the 10-foot of county right-of-way. And it's become such an eyesore, and now it's caused on Gully Lane. There's a residence there that a young man that owns it, his brother is in prison at the moment, but he has brought in 2 campers on his property, which is actually across from our driveway. I mean, our home is secluded, but we pay high taxes on our home, and we've lived in this house for 40 years and never had a problem. Now, Mr. Britton has been spoken to by one of my neighbors that is with us tonight. He was to speak to every one of the commissioners to ascertain what their feelings were, or a meeting. I would like to ask Mr. Britton to come forward and verify what was discussed and when it was discussed. What can we do about this? I mean, it's in violation. The man's not been paying his fine that he was given a couple of years ago, and I've talked in length with Chris Cutshaw, who is my commissioner, and I sat on the Planning Commission right here in this county for 7 years. Now, it's been a long time ago. I was under Paul Bruce. But still, you have to get these, you can't do this, sir.
Your time is up, but you can only have 3 minutes.
I
We
did not know
appreciate
that.
you sharing that concern with us.
Could I address,
Sir?
I'd like to make a motion to give her 3 more additional minutes.
I second it.
Okay. Does everybody else want to give?
Yes.
All right, by consent, you have 3 additional minutes.
Thank you. We've got to get something done. We live on tributaries of Bent Creek, okay? These people in these campers, they have no electric, they have no power, I mean, no water, and no septic systems. So what are they doing with it? I mean, it's on the ground. And at the bottom of our property, of our 10 acres, we have what they call a winter spring, which means we get a lot of water in the springtime, and it runs down into Bent Creek. And, I mean, it's not healthy. I've called the state health department before on the house across the street from our driveway, and he came out and they made a move, one of them, over a year ago, but this fellow has brought 2 more of them back in there. And we have nice homes out there. My husband and I, our home was appraised a year and a half ago at almost $300,000, including our 10 acres. And we're not being taxed for that, so don't come and do that. But it's not right to come out into our neighborhood and make a mess out of it. I mean, the state, health department referred me to Nashville, which I went to. I contacted them, but we need some help. If you'll go to the Planning Commission office, Tina, the Board of Zoning and, what is it, Chris? Bills. There's a file down there about this thick with pictures. Please, if you've not been spoken to by Mr. Britton, please go to the Planning Commission and look at those pictures that we have. I have a gentleman here with me that is my neighbor, and he took all these pictures. He took them by there. I mean, I don't want to put people out of their homes, but this is not a home. This man is making money off of squatters. Now, supposedly he owns the land, but you know, you just don't bring in trailers and start a trailer park, and especially if you have no sewer and water and all of that stuff. But you know, I would hope that Mr. Britton has spoken to all of you about this problem, and we've got to do something. We're going on almost 2 years, right, Chris?
Yes.
You know that we've complained about it, and
Well, the judgment's been, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I don't want to interrupt you. You finish, and I'm
No,
going to come in.
please, I'm begging you.
Ms. Applicant.
Where's Chris Capps?
He just left.
How dare him?
Ms. Kegley, I want to address you just real quickly. I want to address the commission that this is an issue that the planning commission is, well, we've proposed a meeting with the mayor and our attorney so we can address this expeditiously because it is going on too long and we want this taken care of, Ms. Florence. And I apologize that it's taken so long to do that. There has been a judgment on this gentleman, and we have not followed through with enforcement.
It has fallen through the cracks.
Yes. So I propose that meeting, the planning commission, mayor, and our county attorney, and see what we can do to move this forward.
I would appreciate any and everything you can do, because if we tried to sell our house now and a realtor takes them down Mountain Road and they see that, what are they going to do? I mean, I would think twice about buying in the area because we have some nice homes out there. I mean, you know, we have double wides, which fine, but the people are neat, they're clean, their yards are nice, so.
Thank you very
I
much.
appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Ma'am, does that road run down to Ronald Ray's?
Yes.
Yes, well, yes, it does. It comes out on,
You turn on Silver City?
Mountain Valley Road.
Okay.
It comes out on Mountain Valley Road. It comes all the way. It took me 20 years between Dan Myers and Barry, he left too, to get part of Mountain Road to pave. But, you know, I'll be here every meeting trying to figure out something.
Well, your road's in good shape now, isn't it?
Well, it is as far as Gully Lane. But if you go past Gully Lane, it's terrible. But
Sir, do you want to address the commission too? Because I know you were here last time, and
My name is Billy Register. I'm her neighbor. I'm actually Mr. Tom's neighbor. The young man that she is speaking about is actually my neighbor. He is, y'all just have to understand what this man is doing to my property value. This man has, Sanford and Son has got a better place than this man could ever have. This man is just ruining the water table. I would even be scared to even test my water right now. This man is, excuse my language, this man is crapping and peeing everywhere on his property. I have a freshwater stream on my property. I'd be scared to even go down and pull water out of my freshwater stream to even drink it because of what this man's doing on his property. I understand that there are laws that are in effect that can be done to take care of this man. I don't want this man to lose his property. I really don't. But when there's nothing being done to adjust or to fix whatever it is that this man is doing wrong, because if I was doing it wrong, the first thing that would happen was the law or anybody else, they'd want to come out there and put me under the jail and or fine me or whatever. I understand that he's been fined, but yet he has not paid the first fine. They haven't come out there and made him pay it. You know, second thing is he's running a meth lab out there. He's I know he's selling drugs out there. Every time you turn around, there's cars running in and out past my house all hours of the night. Last night, there was one of the biggest fist fights you've ever heard in your life outside. You know, what do? You call the law out there. We live out there in this little old section out there. It's just a little old triangle. Law don't want to come out there because we're a forgotten soul out there. You know, we're out there in the middle of nowhere in the county. So as long as we're out there, the law don't want to have to come out there where we're at. So.
Now, we've been there 40 years, and I give escrow credit now, but it's had somehow.
Do they? Okay, but how often do they come out there during the day? I mean, during the night. They only come out there during the day.
There again, he has short of deputies.
And I understand that. And I understand that.
We got 3 deputies sometimes, okay?
And I understand
We
that.
got a lot of Hamlin County to cover.
And I just wish they would come out a little more. I just wish they'd come out a little bit more. This man selling
Sir.
next door to my house.
I realize that. I'm also a retired police officer from another state.
And I understand.
And I understand what ESCO's going through.
And I just want it to stop. I just want you just take care of him.
Thank
Whatever
you.
you have to do to fix it. I don't care how you fix it, just fix it,
Thank you.
please. If you've
Thank you
got it
for
under
sharing
the,
your
if
comment.
you've got it in control, fix it.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Anyone else?
Gwendolyn Holden, 8150 West Point Drive. Used to live at 2343 Sulphur Springs Road. I had my creek tested long years ago. Feces running down the creek. Linda Noe's son is the one that tested it. I got the results back. Feces running down the creek. Junk cars, nastiness, filthiness out in Road Junction. I'm concerned about my community just like these people are theirs. Campers, mobile homes that is not even hooked up to the septic tanks. Don't even have a septic system. Live up on Sawyer's Road, don't have a septic system. Wayne Litz put one in for a person when she got a new trailer. I've been doing this for 8 years. 8 years coming here. Never get nothing done. Pay your taxes, Gwen, and shut your mouth. Well, I got tired of it. I couldn't get the community cleaned up, so I moved out. That's what you all do for me. And all I've ever done is work and pay my taxes. Yeah, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you till I die. Because you know why? You all don't do the right thing. You make laws and you don't even enforce them. Your planning commission is a joke. I know. I've gone to it too for 7 years.
Anyone else?
Elizabeth Brotherton, 339 Macedonia Road. There's a couple of things I would like to address that wasn't addressed on the agenda. One of them is a tax increase that I was emailed about on the 14th of April. And the email reads that it is concluded that there will be a minimal increase in staff, but it's also said, as far as a tax increase, which is what my inquiry was about, is another tax increase on property, that it was the hope that they didn't have to increase taxes for the construction, but there would have to be a revenue increase for the staffing. Now, I would like to see the next meeting some studies done about staffing and what that revenue increase is going to be and exactly how that's going to impact us, because, I mean, I was already emailed that back in April, and it's not been got back to me on how that's going to work. The next thing I'd like to address is parliamentary procedure. That's not on the agenda either, so it counts as general. I've offered time and time again to help y'all out for free, even if I don't agree with you. I've met with a couple of you several times on Robert's Rules of Order. Now, even if I don't agree with you, I would like to see Robert's Rules of Order that y'all voted in years ago upholded correctly. I mean, we might not agree on a lot of things, but I've already offered for free to help y'all out. And every time I come in here, there's errors that's been made. every single time. And I mean, I was a debater in college. I know how all that works. I mean, and another thing that I would like to address is that when we're talking about, in general, now, not anything specific, but when we're talking about like fluctuations in the economy, we can't really say that prices is just going to keep going up indefinitely. That doesn't follow any economic policy. In the 5 years of my business education with 3 different business degrees, none of my professors has ever said that. I'm not sure where any of y'all are getting that, but when y'all have all these things that you're saying about monetary policy and economics, please cite your sources. I mean, if you're going by something, it'd be nice to know what you're going by, because I probably understand it. But when you just throw things out there generally, I ain't got a clue what you're talking about, and half these people back here probably don't either, because it doesn't match up with what basic principles are. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to get back on this deal on Mountain Road. I've talked to Mr. Britton personally in his office. I've talked to him on the phone. He promised me that there is laws in your laws of Hamlin County to stop this sort of thing. People have to take care of their property in an orderly manner. He promised me that that law is in place, and he promised me that he would personally see to it that it was brought to all y'all's attention. What's going on out there? We're sick of it, and it's got to stop. He also told me it was going to be brought up at this meeting. He was going to bring it up. Bill, was you going to bring it up? Well, what good are you? I give it. No, I don't give it.
Anyone else?
Rob Burke, 720 White Oak Circle. So in my former address, I said something to the nature of, sorry, I left my book, that whatever you're doing today is going to leave a legacy. And what legacy is it that you are trying to leave? I'm not interested in what happens necessarily today and tomorrow, except for the fact of what it is going to impact us for the future, and even more so with me, with the way I think. How are these things going to impact my children? Hopefully I don't have grandchildren for a really, really long time, or we're going to have some issues at the house. However, I think about that. And I think about, we're putting these things in place that we know, Commissioner Cutshaw said, we're probably going to have to raise the taxes here in the next little bit, because things are going to happen. There's no way that this county can do anything for the next 13 years. It's not going to happen. We're going to have to raise taxes. We know that. You understand that. You admit that. You sitting here on the commission understand that. You have some level of knowledge of the way monies work. They come in, they come out. That's just common sense. You know what's going to happen. Well, I think about taxes are raised again. Sure, I guess we'll figure out how to make it. Then I think about, well, my one daughter, she's 17 years old. I'd like for her to be able to buy a house here in this community and stay close to home. And you know what? You're pushing her out. I got another daughter, 16 years old. You're pushing her out. You know why? Because you're making it more and more difficult for people to live here and for people to stay here, and they're going to be out. So you talk about, I want to be able to retire, Commissioner Hahn, and I'm going to go spend time with my grandkids. The way that you're going, they're not going to live anywhere near you, because they're going to have to move out of the county in order to be able to afford to buy a house, unless they're living in one of those campers. So I think I need you to consider not just what you're doing today, and not the decisions that you're making today, but how it impacts our community for generations to come. Because whether you believe it or not, or whether you know it or not, every decision you make in this commission will impact our future for generations to come. Thank you.
Anyone else?
My name is Tony Stradazzulo. So let's talk about the jail. You all say that it's a very hard decision. It's a decision that needs to be made. And we all agree on that we do need a jail. We don't need all the extras. We don't need to tag the Justice Center on with the schools in order to push it. If it's going to happen, it should easily flow. It should be an easy thing. There shouldn't be this back and forth, back and forth. Most of everything else you all vote on, we don't have this back and forth. It's a couple of questions, and it's either a no or a yes. This has been back and forth and back and forth. And I don't think the 14 of you sitting up here should make that judgment. Put it on the ballot. Let the people decide. That way it's not the 14 of you making your own decision. It's the citizens making that decisions. The ones who care, they'll show up and they'll cast that vote. They should be the ones that decide such a large burden on the community. It's the citizens. Shouldn't be the 14 of you. We've empowered you to make decisions for us, but this decision has shown that we need to go outside of this room. We need to let the citizens, the public people that have their own thoughts, their own ideas of how much we should spend, what size we should build, what is necessary, what kind of debt and burden do we want. That should be the citizens. I appreciate that you all sit up here and try your best to do the best for the community. I just think this one is just a little over and above what you all should put your signature on. If there wasn't so many inconsistencies, then it would be a no-brainer. But there's constantly inconsistencies. The next thing I want to talk about is the Rules Committee. We need to get a jump start back on the Rules Committee. There is not too much going on within the commission to address the rules, okay? Last week, I was threatened that I'd be thrown out for not saying my address. And after I spoke, somebody else didn't say their address, and nothing was said. This evening, there was somebody else that didn't speak their address, and nothing was said. You can't pick me out, Jim Stepp, because you don't like me. You have to do it even across the board. That's against the law, and there's laws against pointing people out for a particular reason.
Anyone else?
I'd like to ask, are you giving me the 5 minutes that I had requested?
I'm sorry, I forgot that, so you have 5 minutes.
All right.
Thank you very much for calling that to my attention.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. I would like to follow up on the Rules and Rules Committee. Let's get with the program and get that going. That was such an important thing to start, and then it just withered on the vine. I was told it was about First Amendment issues. You were trying to research that. Evidently, you researched it pretty well, because now you're, filing a lawsuit because of a piece of phone? When are you going to do that? I know you're not going to answer, but when are you going to do that? You voted? Miss Brotherton said you need a parliamentarian. I believe I said that last time, too. When years and years ago you had Herbert Harville up here, he knew how the rules work, and he would help people with the rules. He would fix it. He would tell them when they're right, when they're wrong, how to make a motion if they seem to be stumbling with it. You need a parliamentarian, whether it's one of you or whether it's somebody like Miss Brotherton. No brainer. We talked about county lawsuits. That was mentioned earlier. I would like to know, and I will send an email out, and I hope somebody will have the courtesy to answer. How do you get an attorney for litigation here? How does the county determine that? Are you all involved? And I'll give the example. In the Open Meetings Act lawsuit, you're represented by Arthur Knight. None of you hired him. I would like to know how he was hired, whether it's under the insurance, and if it is under the insurance policy, who selects him? Why isn't Mr. Katz representing you? Of course, he's not here to answer. There are so many things, and the jail. Oh my goodness, Mr. Cutshaw, you had the perfect segue to go into let's look at a one-level jail. You did too, Bobby. You said we've got to go on with this. It's going to get higher and higher. That's not why you do things. How about change the design? That's what's so expensive, the design. And then, Mr. Horn, I don't know what's gotten into you. I mean, evidently somebody has really, really gotten under your craw. And I noticed you looking really hard at me like I never question anybody's salvation. See you, Jim. See you, Tim.
When you get respect, you'll get my respect.
Oh, I'm sure. At least
You're
he didn't
getting-
throw anything at me.
You're getting personal in your comments too, so.
Oh, did you call a point of order on anybody? There is a First Amendment when you get up here. There's some limitations on it, but it's pretty wide open. Sue me. Bring it on. Thank you.
I don't know, well, I'll keep my mouth shut on that. Anyone else who wishes to address the commission?
My name's Eddie Cox. I live on 1804 Bolton Ridge. Bobby, I'm proud of you. I know they're taking your Constitution right away from you. You too, Chris. Sheriff, when he ran for sheriff, first thing you said, we need a new jail. We did. Well, we had one, but no, they closed it out. We had one 2 years ago. We could have had it. No, been paid for and everything. But now, everybody's, your Constitution, you ain't got nothing, you can't say nothing to them because they get mad at you. But I'm proud of you, every one of you. But some of you is a little shaky right now. I mean, you got your favorite people backing you up and everything. But, I mean, I'm proud of everyone. And the mayor, I know he's taken a lot of crap. He takes a lot of crap. And y'all don't expect him nothing, but I do. Because I think he's doing a good job and everything. Thank you. That's all I got to say. And I know I'm on the list now.
Anybody else? Want to remind the commissioners of the announcements, and then one has been added to the announcement, November 1, 5 o'clock, a call meeting here in this courtroom. Having accomplished our agenda, we stand adjourned. You might leave your notebooks so that Trish can take them and prepare for the next meeting.